Good Friday morning. I'm Matt Carruthers, and welcome to another installment slash edition slash installment of everyone's favorite 30-minute horses in the program, Blinkers Off. And this is your favorite show for so many reasons, but I think first and foremost, it kind of kicks off your weekend. We start talking about stake race after stake race after stake race. I am fired up. Got my pink on. Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Got my green on. Opening day at Keeneland. Opening day at Hawthorne. A couple of outstanding guests at both locations that we'll get to in just a moment. Wow, let's just do it now. No better time than the present. So guest number one from lovely, beautiful Lexington, Kentucky. He is there at Keeneland Racecourse, Fall Stars weekend. A man who has so many frequent flyer miles that he's allowed, I think, to sit in the cockpit with the pilot when he flies. He's Simon Bray. Simon, how are you?
Great, Matt. Fantastic introduction. You're right. I was in seat 2A yesterday, so I'm pretty much making my own meals now in the galley. Next stop, cockpit, and I'll be flying that plane.
You're doing a little navigating now, too, right? A little navigating?
Exactly, and speaking of navigating, we got to navigate our way through this card here at Keeneland this weekend. Starts off the fall meet, as you mentioned, 9 graded stakes, 5 grade 1s in just this weekend alone, and lots of great racing action here, full fields and weather. Let me give you an update on the weather as you take a look at some of the highlights.
Beautiful
of the meet
today,
here,
right?
It's crucial as we get into the fall months, you know the weather can be very unpredictable here in Lexington, Kentucky today. 77 degrees is the high, clear skies, absolutely picture perfect. Come on out to the races if you can get out here. Tomorrow, it's meant to be dry throughout the day, but we're going to get some severe rain overnight going into tomorrow's card. That's significant with the Shadwell Turf Mile. And then Sunday, clear and dry through the races, but temperature going to be 20 to 25 degrees cooler than what it is now. Wow. So the weather's going to be dry during the racing itself, but considerable rain scheduled overnight.
Did you bring your fall slash winter attire?
Yeah, you know, man.
You're prepared.
Yes.
I'm sure Shrub's not prepared, right? Shrub probably didn't even look at the weather.
No.
He probably doesn't have gloves. He probably doesn't have a warm jacket. He has nothing, does he?
Right. Well, he's here for 22 days. I hope he bought enough. But you know me, Matt. I'm not a sartorial disaster, so I come always prepared.
And it is called Fall Stars Weekend, and we'll get to the Shadwell Turf Mile here in a second. But you have a couple of stars, don't you? I mean, Wise Dan and Groupie Doll, they're both a couple of stars that we'll see tomorrow, right?
Yes, exactly. I mean, I think the pick 4 today, guaranteed by us, $200,000, is going to be a very good one. Tomorrow, part of that All-States pick 4, a little easier with Wise Down and Groupie Doll in there. You can turn it into a pick 2 or even a pick 3 in that race. We'll talk about that tomorrow, right. But as far as today's pick 4, I think it's great, and it's spearheaded by the Alcibiades, Matt. Start throwing darts, right? Wide open.
I mean, I don't know about you. I haven't seen the scratches yet, so they're probably just going to come out here in a little bit. I feel a 14.
I've got them, Matt, no scratches.
Okay.
I've got them, no scratches in the Alcibiades.
Okay, so a field of 14 going to go in this mile and a 16th grade 1 event, 2-year-old fillies, and I'll let you begin. I don't even know where we should start. I mean, this is a race in which if your favorite wins, first of all, I'm not even sure whom that is going to be, you're going to get at least $10 or $11 on the favorite, right? You're going to have a 4-to-1, 9-to-2 type post-time favorite in this race.
Absolutely. Completely wide open event. Look, the way I looked at this race as I was handicapping on the way in, you either look at the Natalma, that key prep race up at Woodbine, or the Arlington Washington Lassie, or the PG Johnson. I'm going to go, out of those 3 races coming in, I'm going to go with the Natalma. I was up there this weekend, Woodbine Mile weekend. Cassie Romans 1-2 here. The winner, absolutely outstanding, Spring Venture. The runner-up here, the other Cassie by Spring at Last. Spring in the air.
That's what I bet.
Like the turf course, like the turf course here. I think it was a strong race. You're getting 12-1 on the morning line. But I'll leave you with one other thought, because you always get the buzz, you know, when you come to a racetrack, the talk of the town, of what's the now filly.
It's not always a good thing.
It's the 13. Yeah, the 13 magical moon.
Oh, no, don't do that to me. I love magical moon. I'm going to single her in the late pick 4.
That's your, I didn't realize. Yeah, that's the talk of Keeneland.
Yeah, I was there at Saratoga on the 24th of August. So she debuts on dirt, kind of a ho-hum performance. Then they put her on grass a couple of months later. I mean, she did not break well at all. And in a 5.5 furlong turf sprint, she won by 10 1/4. She blew right by Lighthouse Bay, who was your 2-to-1 second choice, who was your pace setter in that race. She was eased up late, in a 5.5 furlong turf sprint, stopped the clock in 1:02 and won by 10 1/4 lengths. I think she's the real deal. I don't see a lot of pace in here. She showed some tactical speed after not breaking particularly well in that 5.5 furlong turf sprint. Stretch her out to a mile and a 16th. She's on the lead, or she sits right off of it. I do like Magical Moon quite a bit. 5-1 morning line, but what you're telling me is I'm not going to get 5-1 come post time, and she's probably going to be your favorite.
Yeah, I think she might. She might get a lot of play, and she gets Rosie Napravnik, who shifted her tack here to Keeneland on a full-time basis for the first time. So Magical Moon, the thing that concerned me on first look through, the outside post. But with her tactical speed, that's not going to be an issue. She'll get right to the front. Won't be a problem.
Especially with some slower horses to her inside.
Exactly.
Let's go back about 30 minutes to race number 8 today at Keeneland. Grade 3, Phoenix, 6 furlongs, field of 10. Going poster in this race, another brutally difficult race. As excited as I am about tomorrow's pick 4, that guarantee of $250,000, I think you can make more money in today's pick 4 probably than tomorrow's, because we talked about Groupie Doll and Wise Dan competing in that pick 4 on Saturday. And again, Simon, you'll probably be on the air for this race. Be very, very careful with the pronunciation of your favorite, Dr. Chit. Say it very slowly.
Yes.
Say it slowly for me once, Dr. Chit.
Dr. Chit.
Okay, very, very good. What do we do? That was lovely. Dr. Chit has a lot of pace, but so does some of the parts. Let's begin with Aconite. He hasn't raced since November 5th, Breeders' Cup Sprint. They retired the horse, right?
Yep.
And now he's back. Cott Campbell said, he told us he was ready to retire. We retired him, but now he's back. I'm against Aconite in this spot, but the race does set up for him. He does like it at Keeneland.
It does. Look, I think there's a ton of pace in this race. It's going to be won by a closer. While Aconite's got the class, he loves Keeneland. He's 2 for 5 here, 2 seconds. I think, first of all, he's better maybe at 7/8. But that said, I'm not worried about the layoff. Look, the fact that he was retired has pushed people away from this horse. If he just went to the farm for a 10-month layoff, we wouldn't be talking about that. I think the fact that they said he was retired, he's come back, he's training well, Pletcher wouldn't run him. With that said, Matt, I'm going to watch him this time and go with a horse coming from off the pace. I like the 8 Lonesome Street. I think it's going to be coming from off the pace. You like Lonesome Street? One start at Keeneland in the Commonwealth last 4 was a fantastic win at 7/8 by 2.5. I think he's a better one-turn horse, and the setup going to be perfect for Castellano and Mike Maker.
No, I'm going to use him. He's not my top pick. In my own pick 4, I'm going to go 3, 6, 7, 8, I think. I end up with Night Party in this race, the 3, whose last start at Keeneland was a devastating win against a cheaper group, a 2 other than allowance event. We're showing Night Party from the Firecracker. This is a grade 2 event. He steps up in class. He's your pace setter in this race. He runs 3rd. And with all the pace in this race, Simon, even though he's a horse that's generally forwardly placed, he hasn't been 6 furlongs in a while. So I think cutting back to 6, I think he's going to sit off the pace just a little bit. And I think a horse with a lot of talent, who's fresh, who might get a good trip at 10-1, maybe the play. So I'll go with Night Party as my top selection. I'll definitely be using Lonesome Street. It's opening day at Keeneland. We've talked about 2 big stake race day and a great 10-race program at Keeneland today. Tomorrow, all stakes pick 4, $250,000 guaranteed. Races 6, 7, 8, and 9. And we'll begin with our spotlight race. It's race number 9, mile on the turf, the Shadwell turf. Mile, grade 1, $750,000. And Wise Dan installed as your 4 to 5 morning line favorite. And, I can't quibble with that. Basically what I did here, Simon, is I tried to figure out which heavy favorite during this sequence, Groupie Doll or Wise Dan, is more vulnerable. I decided that even though they're both going to be tough to deal with, because Wise Dan's last 2 performances in the 4-Star Dave and the Woodbine Mile, both spectacular wins, I decided that the Shadwell is a more difficult race, hence Wise Dan a little bit more vulnerable. So even though I think he's a horse to beat, I went against him because in the pick 4, it's not going to do you any good if you have a couple of 2 to 5s. I think you have to use him. But top pick, there's some other horses that make some sense. Are you going to try to beat Wise Dan, or are you just going to say to yourself, he's the best horse, he's going to win?
I think not only is the best horse in this race, I think he's the best turf miler in North America.
You could be right.
So,
yeah, you could be right.
Yeah, I can't see him losing. I was up there at Woodbine for the Woodbine Mile, and I mean, boy, was that, to be in person and watch that race, I mean, it was absolutely visually impressive. And I'm just glad the connections are sticking with a mile on the turf. They were talking about going in the Classic. He's won a graded stakes on every surface there is conceivable to man. So I think this is the right spot for him. It sets him up for the Breeders' Cup. I think, unfortunately, to me, Wise Dan is going to be 2 singles in this pick 4.
Yeah, again, I think he's probably going to win. I thought Dominus's turf debut was very strong in the Bernard Baruch, even though he was a lone F on paper and got an easy lead in that race. But Double's partner, I think, is going to run a big race. Well, maybe he's not good enough to beat Wise Dan, but I look at his last 5 or 6 races, Simon. Huge win at Tampa. Then he's beaten a length in the Turf Classic at 1 1/8, not his best distance. Then he had a strong win at Gulfstream. I was there for the Maker's Mark Mile. I think you were there as well. He was probably the best horse. He was stuck down on the fence, on the hedge. He had nowhere to go. He was beaten 3 parts a length by Data Link. And then he runs in the Turf Classic at 1 1/8, and Little Mike gets an easy lead. So I think there's a couple of excuses in his last couple of starts. He still put in good performances. I think 1 mile is his distance, freshened up Castellano Pletcher. He might not be good enough to beat Wise Dan, but I think he's going to give a great account of himself, and he has a shot at pulling off the upset. So I'll go with Double's partner, 6-1 on the morning line. Race number 8, Saturday, Dixiana Breeders' Futurity, another tiny field, only 14 going in this race. And another race that, as difficult as the Darley Alcibiades is today, this race tomorrow for males 2-year-olds might be more difficult. I think it's a race in which you need to go with a price horse because it's so tough. And I'm against your favorite, Tiz Racer, in here, who benefited from that race at Belmont when the 4-5 favorite was acting up and missed the break in that race. Java's War, the 4, he's won back-to-back races. Yeah, I know they're at Ellis in Louisiana Downs, but I thought his middle move into a hot pace on the 8th of September off a 2-month layoff was pretty impressive, and he outfinished your even money favorite, Ron Almighty, in this race. He didn't break particularly well. He can sit off the pace a little bit. He's 12-1 morning line. I'm going to go with the 4, Lukewarm, spread out in the pick 4. What are you going to do?
I think this race, you're exactly right. I think it's a mirror image of the Alcibiades for the Colts here. I'm going to go, I had a couple of options. I was between maybe the Mark Cassey trainee coming in from Woodbine, the 12, Dynamic Sky, but I ultimately ended up with the 10, Positively, for trainer Patrick Byrne. Yeah, a colt who's lightly raced by Distorted Humor, so the distance should be a problem. He's only been around 1 turn, and to me, he's got that even running style that he showed here in the Bashford Manor. That was his most recent effort, a Grade 3 event at Churchill Downs, coming from off that pace nicely to finish up second here. I think with the synthetic surface, these Distorted Humors have proven they can run on it. The added distance, you got a fresh racehorse coming into the fall from a trainer that knows how to target big races. Pat Byrne, he doesn't have the number of horses that he used to have, but boy, when he targets a horse, just like Take Charge Indy in the Florida Derby earlier this year, that's my price, the 10, Positively.
And, you know, there's not much pace in this race as well. I think Positivity is going to be somewhat close. I mean, if there was a lot of pace in this race, Balance the Books is the horse to beat the 11. He overcame a lot, showed a lot of guts and determination to win a Grade 2 as a maiden, the second start of his career, the With Anticipation at Saratoga. I just worry about the pace for Balance the Books. Doesn't seem to be a lot of that in the Dixiana Breeders' Futurity. Another Grade 1, race number 7 Saturday at Keeneland. What are you expecting the turf course to be like for tomorrow, the condition?
Well, it's going to be hard to tell because, as I said, rain overnight. I'm not sure how long it's going to last.
Right, a lot of rain?
Yeah, they gave a window, but they gave a window between 10 p.m. and 7 a.m. where that's going to be consistent showers or intermittent showers. I mean, it might be yielding or soft tomorrow if we're getting the rain that's scheduled to be forecast.
Okay, and the First Lady is another race in which, you know, I know your buddies Schrupp and Leduca, who like to go Allberger in races. This could be an Allberger race for those two. It could be an Allberger race for many. Hungry Island, I do like her last start in the Ballston Spa because nobody was going to beat Zagora, who shattered the course record by like 9 seconds, I think, in the Ballston Spa at Saratoga, and came back and ran a good second in the Flower Bowl at Belmont last Saturday. It's a good second-place effort to her, wasn't it? And maybe she's back in good form.
I think she is, Matt. Hungry Island is going to be my pick here, and I think she's definitely the one to beat for me. Like you said, the Zagora form running well in the Flower Bowl. Add to the fact that Shug McGay's been on a graded stakes roll. He's won 12 of 40 graded stakes this year alone, 2012. 11 of those, 11 of those 12, Matt, have been on the grass. When would you have thought about that 10 years ago, saying McGay's winning more turf graded stakes than main track graded stakes? So I think Hungry Island makes it number 13 for him.
I think the key to the race is Tappett's Fly. fly. Is she done? Will she bounce back? Her last 2 performances stunk. I'm gambling that she's done, that she's going south right now. So because of that, I'm going to go Summer Soiree, who I thought ran terrific in the Ballston Spa, a 9-month layoff. Speed got a little tired. You can understand with the layoff. She got away from Tappett's fly that day and put her away. I envision the same thing happening, but she'll have more oomph to her game second off the layoff. So I like Summer Soiree to go wire to wire for Graham Motion in the First Lady. The Thoroughbred Club of America. I don't have a lot to say about this race. I was at Presque Isle for the Masters Groupie Doll's last start, which resulted in a win. It was a bizarre race because it was not raining when they broke from the gate, and it was torrential rain at the 3/8 pole. It was very, very odd. Yeah, very strange. And she still kicked on. It doesn't matter. Torrential rain, dirt, 7 furlongs, 6, 6.5, Keeneland, Gulfstream. I mean, she's really good. I don't think she can lose this race.
I agree with you. I mean, the same comments that I said about Wise Dan being the probably best turf miler in the country. I think Groupie Doll is the best female sprinter in the country for all the reasons you just mentioned. It doesn't matter about the surface. She likes it here at Keeneland. She's won one of her 2 starts, was second in the other one. She's 2 for 3 over synthetics. She's another favorite that's going to get the job done for me.
Again, I think Wise Dan's competition is a lot stronger than hers. So
sure.
I think she's a more logical. Honey Chili is quick. Emma's Encore is interesting by Congrats. Bred to handle the synthetic. We're going to take a look at those pick 4 tickets right now, and then you're excused to go. Let's take a look at your ticket. Wow! Oh my goodness, $7. Yeah. So you think it's going to be pretty chalky? You just press repeat a few times.
So often the case, Matt, I've always made this admonition for many, many years since I've been on TVG. I think the graded stakes, all stakes pick 4s are very formful. Very rarely do you see 50-to-1 shots winning grade 1 races around the U.S. So I think it's in play here again. I'm just going to all burger the Dixiana Breeders' Futurity. That seems to me the price. I think the 3 favorites win the other 3 races. $7 ticket, play it multiple times, and hope you get a big price in the Dixiana.
And I'll admit here, I could be reaching a little bit. I understand singling Groupie Doll. I do think Emma's Encore, who was bumped at the start and was very rank and excused for her bad performance in the Gallant Bloom. And Honey Chili is scary because she might have an uncontested lead in this race, and she's back in 9 days for Catalano. I'm going to single Summer Soiree in the First Lady. I think a lot of people go deep in that race, and I have a single. I'll go deep in the Dixiana Breeders' Futurity, and then Wise Dan I have to use. Doubles partners, I mentioned the top pick, and I'll go with Dominus, who might be able to rate behind Silver Max and be strong second on the turf. Simon, I appreciate, I know it's going to be a long day for you, so I appreciate you starting your day a little early and joining us on Blinkers Off.
No problem, Matt. Enjoyed it. And best of luck to everybody out there if you're playing these pick 4s at Keeneland. We've got plenty of live racing action all weekend long. We'll be here to cover it from soup to nuts. Soup to nuts. Wow, now you're making me hungry. All right, Simon, thanks a lot. We'll be talking to you all right, see you, Matty.
A little bit later in other shows here at the network. Picks recaps. We'll go through this quickly from last week. I know there was one race, at least I'm excited to see the results for. Fort Larned, just not a mile and a quarter horse. Nice call, Mr. Pollock. Justin Phillip. Not very strong. Dream Piece. Oh, you missed second by an inch. Joe Hirsch. Okay, it gets better for me. It does get better for me at some point. Not that Casper Clunkers missed the break. Royal Delta, boy. 106 buyer. Is that what she received? There we go. Jersey Town 8-1. Okay. Needed that desperately, and yeah, I had a scratch in my play of the day. So based on win place, really, I'm only made like $1. I just don't get it. Okay. I think James Lee is in charge, is out. He's just trying to stick it to me. Keeneland, my play of the day will be Keeneland Saturday Race 2, Lost Sword. You know, when I was at Presque Isle about a month ago, you know, I kind of I kind of hung out with Willie Martinez a little bit. I like Willie Martinez. He's a good rider. He's a good man. He helped me find my phone that was lost at an establishment at about midnight one night, so I owe him a lot. And I'm thinking Lost Sword, the 2, gets an easy lead, drops out of a tough allowance race at Presque Isle, and goes wire to wire, dropping from allowance in for 16. 8-1 morning line, Lost Sword, the 2, Race 2, Keeneland Saturday. My play of the day. Time for break. We come back. Jimmy Miller.
Get 5 times points this weekend. Saturday, bet Hawthorne Gold Cup Day to earn 5 times wager rewards points. All Hawthorne races, all day long. Bet Hawthorne, get 5 times points. TVG Wager Rewards. the TVG Sunday Spotlight Race. Join us for the Judmont Spinster from Keeneland. Watch and wager on one of the weekend's best stakes races. The Sunday Spotlight on TVG.
You know, like a lot of people, times are tough for Hector and his family. Gas is $4 a gallon. Groceries cost a fortune. So he got a little help. Hector went to MoneyMutual.com. Money Mutual has over 100 short-term lenders who can lend up to $1,000 in as little as 24 hours. Just be 18 or older with a regular income of $800 a month.
When I saw that money in my checking account the very next day, I could finally breathe again.
Go to MoneyMutual.com or call 1-800-555-CASH.
I didn't want to get just any degree after high school.
Horse racing has always been my passion.
I was already a lawyer.
When I was young, my dad took me to the races. The sound of the crowd. I still remember.
I'm 40, and I don't want to stay in a career I don't love.
I want to follow my passion.
Follow your passion at the University of Arizona Racetrack Industry Program.
Today, bet Keeneland's $200,000 guaranteed late pick 4, presented by TVG. Keeneland Friday action with a guaranteed pick 4, presented by TVG. First leg is race 7. Bet it today at TVG.com. Pennsylvania residents, sign up for a Harris Philadelphia wagering account in partnership with TVG, and you'll get $50 when you bet $50. Details at TVG.com. Sign up now. Go to TVG.com or call 1-888-PLAY-TVG.
We have not forgotten about you, Belmont Park. There's only so much we can do in 30 minutes. Jamaica, Champagne, Frizette, a couple of huge two-year-old races in their own right at Belmont Park. Obviously, you can watch and wager on those races here at TVG. Go to TVG.com to put some money down on the line. And also look at the weather in New York as well. You could have an off-track situation at Belmont for Saturday. It's going to be chilly at Hawthorne. It's October in Chicago. It's supposed to be chilly. Jim Miller joining us right now here on Blinkers Off. Jimmy, how you doing? You have a big smile on your face. You're excited about opening day, aren't you?
It's been 5 months. Of course I'm excited for opening day, and you're right, it is chilly. Temperatures are in the 50s here as we kick off the start of the fall meet, but the main thing is it's dry. We have a fast main track, firm turf course. Looks to be dry here all weekend long, and Matt, we got a great race tomorrow with the Hawthorne Gold Cup, too.
All right, we're looking at the meet highlights. Opening day today through the 30th of December. And I don't know if you heard me on the air yesterday, Jimmy, during my silly show, 58 Flat, but I was talking about how I'm a horse player, and now I've been, you know, Hawthorne sort of converted me. So now I'm a Hawthorne player now. And I love what you guys have been doing. You guys are thinking player, and the key is to get players that don't bet your product to all of a sudden start playing your product and taking notice of your product. You got me, and I'm hoping you get a lot more people here over the next couple of months.
Yeah, and that's what we're hoping to do, and we're doing it a couple of different ways. I mean, the main thing that a player wants to see is full fields.
Definitely.
So we have a lot of full fields throughout the course of the meet. This is a meet that traditionally averages 9 starters a race. We're on a dirt track that for recent years is played without a bias, so the best horse can win. And the other thing that we did is we moved our post back a half hour for the first post because we realized that there's so much East Coast competition earlier in the day and a little bit less later in the day, but we have the luxury of lights at Hawthorne, so we can go a little bit later, but we want to be more of a featured track, and having guys like TVG, you guys are what helps us quite a bit.
It's amazing in life how so many people don't think at all. You guys are thinking, which is a good thing. Let's talk about your big race of the meeting. It's tomorrow. It's Saturday. It's 10 furlongs. It's a grade 2. It's a $500,000 purse. And we'll begin with Alternation as your morning line favorite at 5-2. And the Q, one of my faves, Luis Quinones aboard Alternation. What do you think he does early on? Because Nate's Mineshaft is talented. Nate's Mineshaft is quick. Nate's Mineshaft is a multiple graded stake winner. Alternation has the guts. He loves to win. He wins by a nose here. He wins by a nose 3 starts back. At Pimlico, he can ship. He's 9 for 15. He's 5 for 6 this year. What does the Q do early on? Because he's the only horse that can put any pressure on Nate's Mineshaft.
Yeah, and that's kind of the thing, and this is a really good race. I mean, you have 5 horses in here that are multiple graded stake winners, so there's no real slouches in this race. But you're right, Nane's Mineshaft is going to go from the outside, and they have to go, and rightfully so. The thing I like about Alternation, which was very smart on the part of trainer Donnie Von Hemmel, is they've been here for over a week. They've gotten to work over the track. The horse has handled everything fine. They've schooled in our paddock a couple of times, so he's taken out a lot of the other issues that could arise on race day. Those are all eliminated. You know the horse is going to like the track. You know how the horse is going to handle the paddock, and now it's how this race is going to unfold. But I think Alternation probably sits 2 or 3 lengths off of Nate's Mineshaft, and then just kind of tries to pick that one off in the lane. And I think they're probably looking back like some others, seeing that Nate's Mineshaft hasn't run since the middle of June, and you're asking the horse to go 1.25 miles right off the bat. And Nate's Mineshaft could come up a little short, but I think Alternation will be really tough.
I'm just thinking that Quinones has to respect Nate's Mineshaft. And by doing that, I think the pace might be a little bit quicker than it needs to be. And if you get that quick pace and those horses hook up a little bit early, I think Cease then becomes the horse to beat. And this is a horse I've always liked and a horse that I've lost a fair amount of money on at this point. I bet him in this race last year. He's 3rd beat and a half length. I bet him on Breeders' Cup Day in the marathon. Didn't run very well. I bet him in the Woodward. He ran a good 3rd behind To Honor and Serve and Mucho Macho Man. Stay Thirsty, by the way, 5th in this race. Came back and ran a hell of a race in the TVG Jockey Club Gold Cup at Belmont last Saturday. So I like Cease to win this race, thinking Quinones goes a little bit with Nate's Mineshaft, and we get that hot pace. A little bit more than a minute left in the program. We're going to turn our attention to, I mean, we love horse racing, the two of us. We love baseball. You're a former professional player. I want World Series selections from you right now. Who's going to represent the American League? Who's going to represent the National League? Who do you like to go to the World Series?
It's going to be interesting because in the American League, I'm going with the Bats. I think the Yankees are just going to outslug teams, only for the fact that Texas may not even get into the playoffs. So the Yankees bats could outslug a lot of teams. And the NL, the Reds pitching is awesome. I think the Reds go out there. I think they absolutely dominate the NL. This is a team that could roll through without losing at all. So I'd like the Reds and Yankees. I think the Reds win the World Series.
I like the Giants plus 750 in that National League. Kane, Bumgarner, Vogelsong. I don't even know if Linson's in a pitch. Zito, great managing as well. Against Detroit, Tigers, Giants in the World Series. Jimmy, thank you so much. Have a great opening weekend at Hawthorne. I will not see you guys next week. I will be on a plane to Canada. Big weekend at Woodbine. Greg Wolf will be in this seat. We'll see you next time on Blinkers Off.